Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan, and in this CEU course module we'll be talking about carbohydrate loading protocols. So by the end of this module, participants will be able to explain the physiological role of carbohydrate loading in endurance performance. You're going to be able to compare moderate versus high carbohydrate protocols, develop athlete-specific carbohydrate loading strategies, and identify signs of inadequate fueling and glycogen depletion. So this infographic here explains why carbohydrates matter not just to rowing, but in general. It's important to know that they're stored as muscle and liver glycogen, and glycogen is primary fuel during high intensity rowing. And depletion means decreased power output, and that also leads to increased fatigue. And rowers with higher glycogen availability have improved time to exhaustion and a lower RPE. So in rowers, there have been studies proving the benefits of a high carbohydrate diet, and research has shown that there are significantly higher benefits in consuming 10 grams a kilogram a day. Essentially, this study compared a high carb group and a moderate carb intake group. The high carbohydrate group consumed 10 grams a kilogram a day, while the moderate consumed 5 grams a kilogram a day. Essentially, the results were that the high carb group, the high carb group that consumed the 10 grams, had a 65% increase in muscle glycogen and an 10.7% increase in power output. And this is super important because these are essentially key performance indicators for rowers. So if there's any way to increase that, there definitely will see probably increase in performance. So essentially the target to shoot for is 10 to 12 grams per kilogram a day and 36 to 48 hours pre-race, because that was the protocol followed in this research study, and has proven significantly beneficial for these rowers. So on this slide, it's important to focus on the carbohydrate target and its relationship of the intensity, carbohydrate target and its relationship with training type with duration and intensity. So here we have three. If you're on a light, low intensity day, the minimum at least you should be shooting for is 3 to 5 grams per kilogram a day. As we move on to moderate and high, we get to 6 to 10 grams of kilograms a day of carbs. Then once we lead to the heavy training, we got 8 to 12 grams. And the pre-competition carbohydrate loading phase, which is about that 36 to 48 hours before the event, which was previously mentioned in the last slide. You want to be shooting for at least a minimum of 10 to 12 grams per kilograms a day of carbohydrates. So, carbohydrate loading protocol example here, I created a scenario, and here you have a female lightweight rower. She weighs 60 kilograms and is preparing for back-to-back races. So how many grams of carbohydrates should she consume in the 48 hours before race day? So the answer here I have a little bit worked out is, so for carbohydrate loading, the target is 10 to 12 grams per kilogram a day. And for the sake of the example, let's use the midpoint of 11 grams because it's in this range for optimal saturation. So per day, since you use her body weight, 60 kilograms, multiply that by the 11 grams per kilogram, and per day, the carbohydrate target should be 660 grams of carbohydrates a day. And over 48 hours, which is the 2 days, you're going to divide that 660 grams a day times 2, and that gives you 1,320 grams of carbohydrates over 2 days is what should be her goal. And based on this scenario, and since the rower is working a high intensity in back-to-back sessions, she should be aiming for around 11, not even more, but it is within this range of the 10 to 12 grams per kilogram. So this is a summary of everything in this module, and essentially important to understand. Carbohydrate loading is crucial for glycogen saturation performance. Once again, high carbohydrate intake of 8 to 12 grams per kilogram improves power and endurance. Strategy should be customized by training phase and, of course, the role the athlete, and based on their body composition. And of course, it's important to educate athletes on planning, digestion, and practical food sources. Here I have a knowledge check based on this module, so pause to read it, and then the next slide will be the answers. Hopefully you got them right. And here are my references. Thank you so much.